Hello and greeting to all the people, wherever you are, whoever you are, whatever you do. Today is 26th of December 2010. Right now, actually, my watch is not correct. Today's Christmas Day is 25th of December. We're heading towards the 26th in about 45 minutes. Time is about 11:15. As I'm promised the last time, I will continue this matter of the habits. Let me scale it up and go to from personal habits that we have to see what are the social habits as a group, as a nation that we have, and what are the problem with it that today we're facing. Well, as the individual gets together, probably they share the same habits, the same culture, the same thinking, and it gradually in the course of time evolves into nations as we know today. Nations are formed in the past either by great kings or religion that has gathered people together in one nation, or a personal ethics, I should say, habits that turns into custom as a group, into customs, into traditions that every nation, has of their own. And the problem is that they don't, again, they're not compatible with each other, at least at the present format that we have. And it causes a lot of headaches, excuse me, one of which is actually racism. So, racism is a social disease that is practiced sometimes by certain governments even. Not as much as today, in the West anyways, still is practicing in other places. What happens is that I'm going to be speaking about this racism later on when I'm talking man and his society. But let me briefly again refers to it today. How is this racism mechanized? When a minority comes to a bigger majority, and this minority is segregated by means of religion, which brings some of the customs and traditions, perhaps language, and sometimes even the appearance or the natural factors such as color of the skins. When the minority is in the majority, it tries to balance the power by becoming equal to the rest of the populations. In order to do that, they start to become richer. They take care of their children, they will guard each other's very well, and they send the kids to school, they get educated, and they become, in the course of time, wealthier than the majority. And when majority looks at them, okay, this particular race or color, which are distinctively different from us, they're richer than us and they own most of what we have. And how do we get this money from them? Because they don't look like us. They don't comply like us. And then they attack them based on those differences in order to get their money and get them out, because they don't want to be controlled by this minority. That's what happens to the Jews in Germany. So, the Baha'i faith when deals with issues like this, essentially when it comes to laws or setting a standard, it's very special. It is not these laws or these words or this recommendation, or I should say prescriptions as I call it. It is not by Baha'u'llah sitting in a room and deciding what people should do and what they should not do. It's not an invention. As he says, it's not a code, some fabrications of somebody. It's an actual path of evolution. Karl Marx, the smart philosopher of Germany, he says that these are the necessity, historical necessity. Based on that, he says there's no choice for capitalism to turn into socialism, or it will die. Capitalists, they will kill everyone, they take all the money from everybody, then like a big shark, it eats all the food and it dies out because there's no more food to sell. All the people are poor. Therefore, it turns into socialism, and he says that it is a historical necessity. I don't know how it works with his belief came into the practice. We saw it didn't work, definitely in the communist country, but his ways of socialism was adapted, ironically, by capitalist countries, such as Canada or some of the European countries. They became kind of socialist, capitalist country. Now, the word historical necessity, there's a lot of meaning into it. That I'm going to use that word to explain that the Baha'i faith is based on that. And this is exactly the term Abdul-Baha uses in the Some Unanswered Questions. He says, these are relationships that are natural necessities based on the way that we need to communicate. I'm paraphrasing, but that's what he says in the book Some Unanswered Questions. So then there is no way out. When Baha'u'llah says certain things, you can see it just comes in fact. He says in Kitab Aqdas, we should not be cruel to animals, we should be kinder to animals. In 1844, as he said that, the whole world is changed right now towards animal rights. You can actually kill, an animal just for no reason that you think you could do it or show cruelty to them. Not in the Western countries, anyways. Or when he says there's equality between man and woman, it's a bad habit you guys have to think that women are half. Those countries that they do not practice it, they're undergoing a lot of turbulence, tumults, and revolution. And they're poor. Other countries that they understood this natural necessity, this path of evolution, although they didn't take it from Baha'u'llah, but they found out and they're more prosperous. So this is how Baha'i faith started. In this case, I'm just going to go a bit into how this racism kicks in at the lower level. It becomes a little bit of a habit. First, it's just the habits. Look at the way the TVs and Hollywoods and the movies and communications, the medias, they portray a man, a good man, usually, a hero is a good-looking man. A beautiful woman, always nice. The evil and the culprits always associated with ugly faces, distorted bodies, and always is like that. This is the way the Hollywood portrays. And that's not the truth at all, and you and I know that. But people get used to this fact gradually. They've been fed. They didn't use their willpower not to allow these things to go into them. So when all of a sudden they see the guy with a different color, big bulky face, they cannot imagine that this man could be a kind man. Automatically they say these are the type of people that or all these crimes and criminals and everything comes out. I've been dealing with that in Canada all the time. The moment your name is different, it's an Islamic name, or your face and things like that, if they cannot relate to you, especially when your religion is different, immediately you're categorized by the mind of the people who are fed mostly by Hollywood and the media and their priests or whatever, into somebody that they don't like you. And this is the habits that we're taking of listening and letting to be infiltrated, penetrated ideas by the medias. And gradually this goes on and on till the whole nation at one point wants to find a remedy, and they go after the minorities and try to. Baha'u'llah recognized this as a disease, and says we have to basically see how we can deal with it. I've written for myself some notes that in this effect there is example today, and it was in the past, of how people they look and the way things are portrayed. Baha'u'llah had a fellow who was short guy, lame, probably not a very beautiful face, according again to the artists. And he was a special messenger of Baha'u'llah, sending the letters and this and that to the believers in Iran. And when he was there sometimes, he heard some influential fellow, I think a religious man, he turned into Baha'i faith. And he was living in those areas, and he wanted to see this particular messenger of Baha'u'llah before he departs back to Akka. This messenger, which I don't know his name right now, as soon as he heard this, he said to his friends that I have to leave right away. I do not want that guy to see me. They asked him why. He said, look, at my face and my body, if he sees me like this, he just turned into Baha'i faith, he might think Baha'u'llah has made a bad choice by choosing me, who's not looking very good. So he left. I say to people, because of these minor things that we picked up in our life and distinguished ourselves, we became different. It's all small habits that we picked up from childhood, or they